Now, there's been a letter from 150 Muslim Labour councillors to the leadership over its response to the situation. You organised a letter. Why did you do that?
Well, the Labour Muslim Network supported the letter, but the letter was brought about independently and organically from Muslim councillors. And I think the reason behind that is there's a huge strength of feeling. I think the pain, the outrage, some of the anger in the communities, in the Muslim communities towards Labour, following comments not just made by Keir but by various members of the leadership, has caused huge amounts of offence and pain. And what we wanted to do was begin to rebuild that trust between the Muslim community and the Labour Party. And the way to do that is, you know, we've talked about the comments that are being made. I think it's very, very clear how offensive and hurt people have been. But the position now and the call now from what's now 250 Muslim councillors is an immediate ceasefire is the position that we should be taking. Enough bloodshed.
That's not what Labour are saying. They say they want a humanitarian pause, which
Correct.
is different. Right?
Yes, so I think Keir has met with Muslim MPs and other MPs today as well. And from what I understand, there's some movement from the position. So today we've reached a position of a humanitarian pause. But from the sense of the community, from the Muslim community, but also anyone who cares about humanitarianism, who sees the value in these lives that are being lost. We've had 1,000 children die under rubble. And I think anyone who sees the humanity and value in their life will say an immediate ceasefire is the right position for us to have landed on now.
Do you think that some Muslim councillors, some Muslim voters who support Labour, this is something that will make them stop voting Labour again?
I think the anger is very, very high. I have to say the last 12 days or so, I think since the LBC interview, have been the hardest days of me being a Labour Party member and a Labour Party activist. The offence caused is huge, the pain in the community is deep, but I believe we can rebuild the trust, and that's what the letter is about. This is a plea from our councillors, from our members, from Muslims in the community saying, look, the Muslim community has been, historically, one of the most loyal voter bases for Labour anywhere. A surveyation poll that we did showed 76% of registered Muslim voters support Labour. That's one of the largest groups of votes and communities that supports Labour. Don't throw it away. They're now calling for a very clear position, and it's one that the British public supports. The majority of British public, according to a YouGov poll, support an immediate ceasefire. The UN has called for it. The Archbishop of Canterbury has called for it. This is the correct position now, and not only is it a humanitarian position, not only is it the right moral position, but it can help us rebuild trust that has been lost.
Now, I need to talk to you about some tweets that you sent previously that have been put in the public domain when you were running, around, I think, the time when you were running to be a candidate. You said that happened when you were a teenager, so it was around the kind of 2013 mark. So you tweeted in February 2013, Israel has no right to exist. You also tweeted to a friend saying, no, you won't, mate, it'll cost you £1, #Jew. I mean, what would you say to that?
I mean, I'm deeply embarrassed by that. In fact, I've spoken about this at length. I think we spoke about it previously in a coffee shop outside Uxbridge and South Ruislip, and said, you know, these were deep, deep mistakes that I made as a teenager and don't represent who I am now. I've been immensely privileged, actually. When I reached out to Jewish communities and Jewish organisations as a student, I was able to go with the Holocaust Memorial Trust to Auschwitz, so I understand how deep that is. And
do you think if some people hear those tweets or see you, knowing that you sent them, that it will fuel, I guess, fears in some communities that the position comes from a place of anti-Semitism?
Look, I'm sure it would worry anyone, as it would if it was Islamophobia for me, something I care deeply about. I guess what I would say is I've been very open about them, and even in a book I wrote and dedicated an entire chapter to talk about how I think others can avoid falling into the traps that I've fallen. And I guess it goes to Keir's comments as well. This is where I understand. The following day, I followed Keir on LBC, and I said, maybe he's misspoken, maybe he's made... I know better than anyone what it's like to make a mistake in the public domain, but the right position is to fix it, is to clarify it, is to make amends and make steps towards rebuilding that trust. And that's something I continuously do and hope to continuously do, and that's something that I call on all politicians to do, is to take the right moral position.